Making this show, I get a lot of feedback. And one of the most common misconceptions viewers seem to have about me is that I'm a guy who never smiles and doesn't know how to have fun. And that really bugs me because it couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, I'm actually very fun, relaxed, and easygoing.
All right, so today I'm just walking around the track at work. You could probably hear the noise of the fans going crazy today, but honestly, for some reason, I came across like this tweet that basically put into perspective that the average person doesn't actually know how computers work and thus doesn't know how AI works, which is why they don't understand why it's a big deal that data centers require fresh water. Because the average person doesn't really get how like something that they're doing on their computer could require like water to work. Like they don't understand that. So basically a lot of people are going to try to actually explain the real terminology and technology behind it, but the easiest way to put it is like if you've ever used a laptop and it starts heating up when you do stuff for a while and it has like a little fan built in to kind of cool it down. The reason that it heats up is because like computers really are just a series of different calculators and chips put together, and these little calculators and chips put electricity through a system that is designed usually to like, you know, process information sent electronically. When you're using a computer and you're looking at the screen and clicking on stuff and typing, that itself is actually designed in the programming just for the purpose of making the information make sense. Because it's basically a calculator, the on-screen stuff is actually just being regulated and calculated by the computer for the sake of ease of access. But that's not actually what a computer is. A computer is the information, the numbers, you know, the ones and zeros. And when you're using like a laptop and it heats up, that's because like the actual electricity that's being used by the computer and the battery and everything to actually run the electricity through these chips and calculators, it like creates heat because the electricity is free electron, you know, like basically like lightning, think about it like that, running through these chips, currents running through these wires and chips, and that creates real life heat. And it's like they need to be able, sorry, I'm walking past the fan here. That requires real life cooling in order to make it so the computer can keep doing its thing. Because if it heats up too much, it actually physically fucks up the system that the computer is using to do anything. And it's usually designed so that they have ways to kind of sense this, to like have temperature monitoring systems. So usually the computer will tell you if it's getting overheated. But basically think about that, but like on a massive, bigger scale, right? Because all like wireless systems or really not even just wireless, but like online systems run on servers, thus being collections of code that are made to basically communicate wireless digital messages from one device to another. All of the information of how that particular service is supposed to be run is based on a code that is kept in a server, which are actually hosted and run on real computers, like server buildings and data centers and stuff like this that they have in real life. This is how this has worked for a long time. But the thing is, AI basically requires an amount of processing power, as in like an actual real amount of like electricity and thus cooling, that is completely inordinate compared to what even the most costly average computer system does. And so basically you have a situation where it's like an AI data center, right, is hosting servers like ChatGPT, OpenAI, whatever, DeepSeek, stuff like that, Grok, whatever, where it's like the way that AI generative AI works is that it basically compiles and grabs information from the entirety of all of the internet to basically pull together correlated things to kind of mishmash and mock up whatever that user has tried to make or generate. It's basically creating something out of pulling a million different things and putting them together, which, as I'm sure you can assume, requires an insane amount of processing power, because you're basically doing like the work of what regular computers do, but then also pulling all that information together into one source. And when millions of people are using ChatGPT at the same time, you can imagine just how fucking insane, like, the actual computer data processing power required to have a thing like that should cost. And the thing is, in order to actually cool, you know, all of the various processors and like server hosting things that they have, they basically require there to be like a source of fresh water, actual water, to like regulate and run that system, right? Like, the system will, they can't just use big fans. That's not going to be enough. They need to actually be able to genuinely like water cool these computers, these servers, in order to actually run the system. And the amount of water that is required to cool a data center, and the amount of electricity these data centers need to use, is more than that of like major metropolitan cities. Not a joke. It is ridiculous. It is on a different level than anything that the average person is used to. And that is the reason why it is a terrible thing whenever they try to propose building a data center in any area, whether it's where people live or not, really, because it's like the amount of water and the amount of electricity that is that's required for this to run, like for generative AI data centers, is like it's literally gonna pull all the fresh water from where regular people and living things need it. And it's like you're basically gonna, and the thing is, there's excess runoff and waste generated from these processes, actually. Like, in having to use the water to actually like regulate these systems, there's waste generated. After the water goes through to cool these systems, it's like the water doesn't just disappear, right? There's waste. And then they put that into the water, back into the water supply. It is wasteful. Like, all corporations do shit like this. Like, all major, like, you know, Fortune 500 companies that use all these big facilities, centers, processing plants, etc., they always do shit like this because they have such contempt for the environment, because it's not done for the purpose of helping people, it's done for the purpose of profit. Like, we don't need to get into all that, right? I mean, we all know capitalism is bad, okay? I'm assuming that everybody watching this is not a chud, but basically, it's like there's real waste created. That waste goes back into the water supply and then poisons the local communities. But the thing is, the average person, and here's the biggest problem with AI. The mindset that the average AI user is actually really just the mindset that is at the core issue of American individualism, which is that everybody thinks that it's just them using it and it's not a big deal that they alone are using it. They don't really seem to, because nobody sees themselves as part of a greater community or as part of a greater society where the effect of them as that they have as an individual is correlated with the effect that people have as a group, and that they have a responsibility to change what they do as an individual as to not be part of a bigger problem. People don't think like that in America. In America, somebody wants to make something and they want to make it fast. They don't want to have to sit down and learn how to actually make a thing. Like, in order to draw something that you think would look cool, you have to first draw it. Like, you have to sit down, either put like a stylus or whatever the fuck to the pen, the computer or tablet, or you have to actually just get a pen, pencil on paper, or paint on a canvas. However you're going to be making that art, you have to actually do it. And that, for a lot of lay people, is already too much. I think this is going to sound really rude, but a lot of people who have even any level of creative pursuit or creativity, like genuine creativity where they actually make something, regardless of how big or small it is, sometimes just don't realize how unimaginative, uncreative a lot of people can really be, and how for a lot of people it doesn't really matter that there's a bad effect of using generative AI, because for them, like, the feeling of just having a thing pop out and it's just there, like, that's enough for them. They don't really give a shit, because to them it's like they think that when you create something that's like different or special, they think it's like magic. And they actually, and this, it's one of the weirdest discoveries we've made since the advent of generative AI became a bigger and bigger thing, is how many people who use AI online were genuinely like, well, from the perspective of us, like, all of you artists are always gatekeeping your abilities to do this, or like, I finally have the ability to actually make something. And it's like, see, that's what it's about for a lot of people. It's not about the process of actually learning how to do something, having the ability to make something, like having a skill as a creative. For them, it's like, I want to have the end product. I want to be able to have a cool thing. And the fact that I don't know how to make it is gatekeeping me from having it. And it's like, it's all about like, I want this thing now. You're like, well, what if there's like a laundromat and they want a little mascot for the laundromat? Like, it's not a big deal. It's like, it is a big deal, because any one of them could have just sat down and drew something, scribble a little character, or asked a friend or family member who could draw to do it. It would have been that simple. What if they don't know anybody who draws? Well, that's a different problem. You don't know anybody who's an artist. What are you doing with your life where you don't know anybody with any creative talents? Like, I'm gonna be a bitch about it. Like I said, I'm gonna start being a bitch about certain things, and I don't give a fuck. It's like, you're like, why did you choose to make this episode about AI? I'm like, to me, I feel like I haven't talked about this enough, right? Or let's talk about the fact that like people who actually train the AI models, like, people don't realize that the diffusion learning models, like machine learning models, the AIs, the code systems that basically have to learn and adapt to grab information and create stuff, they have to be trained by actual people. Actual people have to code and put in information to these systems so that the AI will actually know what to do when it is asked or prompted, basically, to create shit. And these people are usually very low paid, very overexploited workers, programmers from like Africa or other places in the global south. This is not a joke, this is real. They usually work for like, what is it, like $4 a day, roughly? It's like, and what he said, it's gross, no tax. Like people don't even realize that AI is not even actually like a real AI, where it's like a sapient robot learning how to feel. And when you're talking to your AI chatbot girlfriend, like, she has emotions and shit. Like, she genuinely doesn't. She is actually just a system that is being trained and taught by some guy in Nigeria for the sake of your pleasure. There is nothing about this AI that is even vaguely sapient. You are being tricked by smoke and mirrors, right? Because here's the thing, human-made art, whether it's good, bad, whatever the fuck, is still made by people, right? There is a genuine element of invention going on, even on the most fundamental, even in the most derivative slop-ass shit. Like, say what you will about a lot of MCU movies from like 10 years ago, even the worst superhero movie from 10 years ago was still actually, like, people had to make all of that. All of these writers, producers, gaffers, grips, lighting people, makeup artists, VFX people, every type of person who worked on the movie was a person who actually had to make that happen. versus AI is insidious because it's like it's soulless. It's the first, like, even more so than any actual like corporate bullshit. It's like it's soulless because there really isn't even. This thing is, it's like this is just something that you put a little response into a computer, and then it uses all of the data that it was fed to it by an underpaid Nigerian worker to kind of throw up an amalgamation of different pre-existing stuff that looks like something that would have actually been made by a person. And because people have been conditioned to have such low standards and to have so little respect for art and artists as people, that's all they need. They don't really give a shit. And it's like, here's the connective piece of why I'm saying all of this. In my opinion, all of the stuff that we've seen previously with any kind of AI this or any of that, all of this stuff, I feel like people were preconditioned to sort of be accepting of generative AI as a tool for society by basically sort of slowly being dumbed down by less and less unique or inventive media, like in subtle ways, because it's like there's always been stupid popcorn slop. That's been a normal thing. Honestly, even before film and cinema existed, there was always lowbrow entertainment, like Buffalo Bill's thing in the Wild West, where he put on like a whole show where it was like cowboys, and they'd put on brown, like red face, and they would pretend to be indigenous, and they would like, oh, we killed this native savages, like that type of thing has always slop, racist, stupid, dumb slop, minstrel shows has always been part of society. But there was a noted difference in the effect of it, where it's like, you notice how TV shows and movies aren't really lit very well. They aren't staged properly. The horizon is born, like everything, like even the way they integrate the visual effects and the makeup and everything, it just looks tacky. It's almost as if they don't even care. It's like, no, they do care. They intentionally want things to look this bad. Like the Russos and the other people in Disney, it's like they wanted people to get used to looking at shit that was garbage, because then when they slowly integrate generative AI into everything they make, the average consumer can't tell the difference and doesn't give a shit, because they've basically been groomed to have really low standards. People just don't even give a shit. Like they don't even have the ability to actually tell what is being done anymore visually. They don't care about the way that a scene is lit. They don't care about the blocking. They don't care about the way that an actor's wig is actually laid on. They don't care about the cadence of how people talk when they're playing a character, because it's like they've basically just been slopified and dumbed down so bad that they can't tell the difference between a 2018 DC superhero movie and an AI slop shit that was made last week. They may as well be the same because they were designed to feel the same. That's all I have to say. And it's also like, and I think it's fucked up because this is one of the few problems where, like, obviously, like, the capitalist elite system is designed this type of concept and this system and everything, but it's something that's permeating every facet of society. Like, on one hand, I am supporting and for Iran being able to kind of slowly dismantle elements of the Western capitalist regime, yet at the same time, the fact that it's like I can't be like puritanical, like they shouldn't do that, but it's like they gotta use stupid AI slot videos as like memes for when they do something, and it's like, yeah, it's everywhere now. It's at a certain point where it's like, why even, what's the fucking point? In a way, it's like, it seems similar to the literacy crisis, where it's like, eventually it's going to become like a class signifier for somebody to actually have a real skill or talent where they can make shit instead of generating it. Or like, actually being well read and literate and knowing what things are, like that's going to be seen as like arcane knowledge. You know what I mean? And I don't know if I like this. I don't know if this is the future that I want to live in. Sorry, I have some food in my mouth. That's all I have to say today. I'm not as upset or like angry, but it's just frustrating, you know?